We start with breaking news out of Henrico. Thank you for joining us here for the CBS 6 News at 7:30. I'm Bill Fitzgerald. A former third-grade teacher at Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic School has been indicted on multiple counts of taking indecent liberties with a child. The former teacher was also facing charges for aggravated sexual battery. Henrico police tell us they got a call in the morning on May 8th about a reported sex offense in the 8200 block of Woodman Road, where the school's located. The caller told police a man had inappropriately touched several young girls on or before May 2nd. Then, while investigating, officers identified 28-year-old Darrow Daniel Ng as the suspect. The Catholic Diocese of Richmond says the school was made aware of the accusations May 2nd, and they say Ng was immediately placed on administrative leave. $2,977 people tonight. We're remembering the victims of the attacks on September 11th, 2001. As we honor the memory of those civilians and first responders who died on that day, we're also hearing stories from everyday people who became heroes. Our Cameron Thompson, along with photojournalist Chris Norton, share the story of a local truck driver who was among the many who answered the call on 9/11 when the Pentagon was hit.
This is Brianna.
Okay.
She's the one.
On the walls around his AAA Mid-Atlantic office in Chesterfield, moments of Raymond Elkin's life are on display. From his favorite childhood shows.
If you ever sat down with me at a Flintstones show, I can quote them.
To his accolades in the towing business.
25, 30 years.
And his ever-growing family.
That's my daughter, Cheyenne, that just had the baby.
But there's one moment that doesn't need a spot, because he can't forget it.
22 years, but I can see it, I feel it, like it was yesterday.
September 11th, 2001. Already aware of the Twin Towers, Elkins was going to the hospital with his 3-week-old daughter, Brianna, for a checkup when the clock struck 9:37 a.m. and he learned the Pentagon had also been hit.
It is that moment, yep. Turned the van around, called all my drivers and said, park the trucks at the shop and get to my house.
He did this because at the time Elkins Towing Company had a contract with the Pentagon, and when he called to ask what they needed,
he said, bring everything you got.
And they did, arriving sometime that afternoon.
All the people, the smell, the visual burning of the Pentagon.
Elkins was cleaning up, sleeping on site, moving cars and anything else needed, both outside and in, including when the fires were still raging.
There's flames coming out, shooting over my head. One of the firefighters said, give me a minute, back up, and he sprayed it down so I could get the car out. But yeah, that was kind of tough that night.
And he served as a therapist of sorts when taking family to recover cars of lost loved ones.
Still pray for the families. That's all I can do.
Elkins worked at the Pentagon for nearly a year. He says while it kept him away from his young family, he wouldn't change what he did, adding there were countless others like him and then some.
They're heroes. They really are. I mean, they're the ones that were in the building.
And one day this grandfather will share these stories with his infant granddaughter about the day he hauled history and answered the call on 9/11.
I mean, I won't hide anything from her. They all need to know what happened, and she will too.
Grandpa had a job and he did it.
That's it.
And Elkins says in all the time since he finished his work at the Pentagon, he has not gone back, but says it's something he plans to do in the future. In Chesterfield, Cameron Thompson, CBS 6 News.
The Virginia War Memorial commemorated the 22nd anniversary of the terrorist attacks in New York City, Northern Virginia, and Pennsylvania with the Commonwealth's Patriots' Day ceremony. Our chief photographer, Brad Wilson, shows us how they honored the Americans killed and injured.
I call this my memorial room. These boots with the dust on them, I was actually wearing these on September 11th. This is a photo of me working at the site just outside of the North Tower. That's the tower with the antenna. Angel Warve. This is Angel again, but these three perished at the World Trade Center. The day at the Virginia War Memorial, just a remembrance of all that happened on September 11th, but we need to keep it alive by participating in events like this morning.
Yeah, this is the annual Virginia War Memorial Patriot Day Remembrance.
God bless America. 2,974 people who were at the Trade Center on the ground perished as a result of the attacks and subsequent collapse of the towers. This was no accident. The United States was under a deliberate attack.
Every 9/11, I think, for each of us, holds a special significance. If we do not continually make the effort to explain to our children, younger generation, of what happened, why it was significant, that they will not be able to carry that understanding on further. We ring a memorial bell to remember those that died in the attacks of 9/11.
I would be remiss if I didn't start by introducing my good friend, Clarence Singleton. Clarence is a former Marine. Sir, you lived the experience as well, and I thank you for all your service.
I feel his sadness now, but I lost so many friends. I mean, they were really great guys, you know, and they would do anything. As he died to make men holy. We're going to fly a freedom flag for 30 days. As soon as I get back home, I'm going to fly it. As a matter of fact, that's the freedom flag flying out front there on the flagpole. Let me see. Gene, if you will. Yeah, here we go.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. You like it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's nice.
That was our chief photographer, Brad Wilson, reporting. On the morning of September 11, 2001, regular television and radio broadcasts were interrupted as national news took over the airways for round-the-clock coverage. Here in Richmond, the team of journalists at CBS 6 broke into national coverage at 5 p.m. You can watch the first 30 minutes of that coverage. You'll see familiar faces such as Greg McQuaid, Cheryl Miller, and Reba Hollingsworth. You can just go to WTVR.com to see it, or you can scan the QR code that you see at the bottom of your screen. We have new information now in a CBS 6 investigation into the timeline of events that led to police killing a man in a mental health crisis. You'll recall 34-year-old Charles Byers was fatally shot by Chesterfield police July 8th after he allegedly tried breaking into people's homes and was carrying a hatchet. But just days before that, he was at a psychiatric unit under a temporary detention order. That means Byers was determined to be mentally unstable, and he should have remained in a hospital for up to 72 hours. But he was only there for about 3 hours before Richmond police arrested him and took him away from the facility. They say Byers allegedly kicked a nurse, but there were no injuries reported. Our Tyler Lane has been investigating why Byers was removed despite being court-ordered to mental health treatment. Tyler has the latest.
He was informed, our investigators, he did not know. There is nothing in our review of the body camera footage that shows he knew that that Mr. Byers was under a TDO.
That was Richmond Police Chief Rick Edwards when I asked him why one of his officers arrested Charles Byers at Chippenham Hospital's Tucker Pavilion and removed him 2 days before he was shot and killed by police in Chesterfield. While Edwards says the officer was unaware of Byers' court order for mental health treatment, new information we obtained shows that Richmond police actually initiated the first step of the whole process that led to Byers' TDO. The night of July 5th, an RPD lieutenant is documented as placing Byers under an emergency custody order, or ECO, because Byers was wandering around Chippenham Hospital and was confused. That led to a psychiatric evaluation by a Richmond behavioral health professional who stated that Byers met the criteria for a TDO. Then a Richmond magistrate signed off on the order on July 6th and assigned Chesterfield Police, the jurisdiction where Byers lived, to serve the TDO on Byers. I followed up with Chief Edwards in an email asking him if RPD initiated the ECO, how would they not know about his TDO? A city attorney, Sharon Carr, responded instead, saying since the magistrate identified Chesterfield County as the law enforcement agency responsible for executing the TDO, that means Chesterfield was made aware of the TDO and the necessity for it, not Richmond Police. Edwards previously telling me this when I asked about how officers check for existing TDOs.
I think there's no good database for us to check and look and know right away.
However, Carr says ECOs and TDOs executed by RPD are documented in their records management system. But she adds, when working off-duty inside a facility like Chippenham Hospital, this information is not readily accessible inside the hospital. She says officers can better access the information from dispatch on the screens of their cars or on their computers in their vehicles. We asked if officers can access the database on their mobile devices and haven't heard back. Do you still stand by the actions of the officer that day?
Yes, I think that certainly with more information, it may have played out differently.
And meantime, there are still many other ongoing investigations related to this incident. Tucker Pavilion is still under federal and state investigations for compliance with regulations and licensing requirements. And the criminal investigation into the police shooting being handled by the Chesterfield Commonwealth's Attorney's Office is still under review. In Richmond, I'm Tyler Lane, CBS 6 News.
A nice warm summer day, or end of summer day anyway, but nothing like the scorching heat we had last week. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Zach Daniel in the Backyard Weather Center. Zach?
Yeah, by comparison, it was pretty nice out here this afternoon, Bill, and a really great evening as well. Temperatures are falling off and the sun is now set. Let me show you what we've got outside at the moment. The temperatures here still in the 80s in quite a few spots, but falling into the 70s elsewhere. 85 feels pretty good out here, though, right now in Richmond. We have a few dying showers. In fact, they're almost completely gone. One final one right on the Albemarle, Fluvanna, and Buckingham line there. And looking at what we have around the rest of the region, there have been some thunderstorms across the coastal parts of South Carolina and Georgia. That's about it. Okay, looking at what will happen over the next 12 hours, we'll see overnight lows dipping down into the mid-60s, so it should be a nice night tonight under mostly clear skies with calm winds. We get into tomorrow, high temperature of 89 degrees. Tomorrow will be the hottest day that we have for at least the next week. An isolated shower or thunderstorm will be possible tomorrow afternoon and evening. Lee remains a Category 3 major hurricane. It is going to take a hard right turn or a hard turn to the north, and that is going to keep it several hundred miles east of the United States. We'll still have some large waves and dangerous rip currents associated with Lee. We'll talk a little bit more about Hurricane Margot and what to expect with some big changes in our weather straight ahead.
Thank you, Zach. After 9 years of waiting, Richmonders can now use GRTC's new downtown transfer station. We'll take you to the ribbon cutting and hear from city leaders next. Some big changes for GRTC riders. The new downtown transfer station is officially open. It's located across from the old blocks-long transfer area along 9th Street. Buses enter the plaza off the street and pick riders up at designated bays. The setup's a first for GRTC in its 50-year history. There are electronic real-time schedule boards and charging stations in those bays. Plus, riders get access to free Wi-Fi while they wait. GRTC says more than 5,000 riders will cross through the transfer station each day.
We are entering a new era of transit in the greater Richmond region. We know how important mass transit is as a tool of economic and environmental justice. These riders are the fuel to our economy. They're the hardest working individuals in the Richmond economy.
The transfer station will be here for at least the next 4 years. GRTC and regional partners continue to explore options for a permanent transfer plaza. A 6-month study into locations and design features is currently underway. Working to end the stigma around teen mental health, that is the goal of the Speak Up 5K that returned for its 10th year. Thousands of people showed up at Bird Park Saturday morning. Grace Gallagher guided people through the event to honor her teen daughter Cameron, who came up with the idea in her journals as she was working through her own mental health challenges. Cameron died suddenly from an undiagnosed heart condition in 2014 after running a half marathon. 10 years later, her family and friends have established her vision as an annual celebration. Organizers say the Speak Up 5K helps attendees know there is always hope.
She wanted to speak up about her story, but she wanted to speak up for everyone. You need to talk to each other. You need to check on each other.
It was truly a magnificent event that I got to take part in at the finish line. The Gallaghers say teens should know there is a community ready to help them with whatever they need. Zach?
Okay, nice evening out here right now. We're going to have a warm day tomorrow, but a strong cold front arrives on Wednesday. That's going to bring us our first true taste of fall weather. That forecast is next.
Now, from CBS 6, the Weather Authority, Chief Meteorologist Zach Daniel.
A pretty uneventful start to the work week, and that's a good thing. Lately, it's either been extreme heat or we've had some big thunderstorms or both on the same day. Let me show you how we did. The morning low temperature was 69 degrees. We made it up to 88 this afternoon, so those numbers averaging out to be a pretty good bit above what's considered normal or average this time of the year. Right now, we've dropped back a little bit. We're sitting at 85 degrees, mostly clear skies, a west-northwesterly breeze at 6 miles per hour. And other temperatures out here are mostly in the 70s and a couple 80s out there as well. There's a look through our satellite and radar composite. We've got a little stationary boundary right along the coastal regions, and then the cold front, that's going to be the big weather maker for us. That's going to be coming into the area as we get into Wednesday morning, should pass through the area early Wednesday morning, and then the drier moves in Wednesday night into Thursday. Thursday through the upcoming weekend, it's going to be as good as you could hope this time of year. It's going to be very nice. There's a look at the latest on Lee. The satellite presentation still looks pretty healthy with this. It is still a major hurricane, winds of 115 miles per hour sustained. Not a whole lot has changed with the track of Lee. It is going to continue to move several hundred miles off the mid-Atlantic coast, but then it looks like it may have some impact across maybe Maine, maybe parts of New England, on up into maybe Nova Scotia. This is going to be the upcoming weekend. A lot of uncertainty there, but for us, again, it's going to be mainly just some big waves and life-threatening rip currents. Okay, so there's Lee over here. Then we have Margot back to the east. Margot is now a hurricane. That happened today. And Margot's going to move to the north and kind of stall out just across the central Atlantic. It's not going to bother anybody. Lows tonight, mainly in the mid-60s. Highs tomorrow in the upper 80s to right around 90. This is going to be the hottest day that we have for at least the next week. And we're starting to get late in the year, so I can't say that 90s are going to be gone for good, but we're running out of opportunities to get back up into the 90s, which I guess is a good thing by now. 85 at noon, a high of 89. We'll have a low chance for a shower or thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon. A southwest breeze 5 to 10. Rest of tonight, pretty quiet weather out there, not much going on. As we get into tomorrow, a few thunderstorms possible developing out west. It's probably going to be late in the day that we see anything around here. That'll come through the area. Wednesday morning, the front moves through. We'll have a few showers behind the front, and then the dry air really moves in. So tomorrow's going to be another fairly muggy day with dew point values in the 60s. And then after that, when the front comes through Wednesday, we drop off, and we're talking about the nicest stretch of weather we've had in quite some time. All right, high temperatures, 89 tomorrow, 83 on Wednesday, and then 70s Thursday and Friday, and that's 70s with sunshine. It's going to be beautiful, and it's going to stay sunny through the upcoming weekend with highs back in the low 80s. There's a look at your rain chances. If we don't get rain over the next couple of days, we're probably not going to get it for quite a while. 89 tomorrow, 83 Wednesday. Beautiful weather Thursday through the upcoming weekend.
Thank you, Zach. The Virginia Zoo in Norfolk is in the process of putting these stickers on monarch butterflies. We'll tell you why. The Virginia Zoo in Norfolk is working on a special project. They're in the process of putting stickers on eastern monarch butterflies. Eastern monarchs travel great distances from the U.S. and Canada all the way to Mexico every fall, where they spend the winter. By tagging them as they travel down the East Coast, research teams are able to gather new information about timing, pace, origins, and the success level of the monarch migration. The Virginia Zoo is a member of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums Saving Animals from Extinction Monarch Program, or SAFE. The monarch tagging helps further knowledge about the species and their conservation, keeping them alive. Let's check back in now with Zach for a final look at our weather tonight. Zach?
Yeah, it's going to be a nice night tonight, Bill. Not much happening for us, which is a good thing. 89 the high for tomorrow. It's going to be pretty warm tomorrow. Got a little bit of humidity around as well. 30% chance for a thunderstorm. As we get into Wednesday, high temperature of 83. We'll have more cloud cover around, a few storms around. After that, a stretch of beautiful weather.
All right. Thank you, Zach. And thank you for watching. We'll see you back here tonight at 11. Have a great evening.
Call 1-800-WIN-WIN-1 Marks and Harrison, right now.